Hi everybody, my name is Joshua Day and welcome to my studio. I wanted to talk to you about something very important today, but before I do that, let me introduce myself and give myself a little bit of credibility. I'm going to be looking at my computer screen over here a couple times because that's where I have some notes. So I am a volunteer, a graphic and media designer for the Doug Mastriano campaign, and if he had decided to run, I was going to have an official role in the campaign. One thing I want to talk to you guys about was that I noticed an effort among some of the grassroots that was kind of gaining traction to write Doug in for governor. And at first I kind of thought, well, wait a minute, that kind of goes against that video that where he and Rebbe announced their decision to not run, that he was didn't feel led to run by God as he had prayed about it with his wife. And so I thought, well, let me go ahead and text him and contact him and talk to him about it. And and to my surprise, Doug actually was on board with it, and he thought it was great. He thought it would be, his quote, his words were, that it was historic, it would be fantastic, and also probably would send a hilarious message to the PA GOP with their early endorsement nonsense that they did 14 months before a primary. And so I thought, wow, that's really great that Doug feels that way. And so I joined up along with Ernie Springer, who is working on this private Facebook group that we've got going. And the goal is to try to write Doug in for the primary coming up on May 19th. So Doug and Rebbe talked in their decision video about the Walk is Free People movement. And this isn't about any one particular hero. I mean, Doug is our hero. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie White Christmas, but he's kind of like our General Waverly, right? And this whole thing I'm about to talk about kind of feels like when Bob gets out there on that TV show that's kind of like Ed Sullivan or whatever. He wants to get all his army buddies back together, right, to do a wonderful thing for General Waverly. So that's what this all kind of feels like. But anyway, Doug and Rebbe were talking about on their decision video about back in 2020 how they got the Walk is Free People movement started and up and running. And it was a movement of people who who felt disenfranchised. They felt like their voices weren't being heard, that the government was just out of control, completely immoral, and compromised, and they wanted to get off their butts and do something about it, right? And Doug said that, one time he was approached by somebody who said, why don't you go do something about it if you don't like the way that things are going in this state and in the country? And so he did. He got involved in politics. He got involved first in the army and served our country. And that's fantastic. But then he got involved in politics. Not that he wanted to. He's not a politician. And he'll never say that he's a politician. Anyway, so this movement, the Walk is Free People movement, was inspired to go take action, and Doug is completely fine with, and more than fine with, the Walk is Free People movement getting together and doing this writing campaign, because having it be the will of the Walk is Free People movement. Doug is in no way driving this. He's not ever going to come out and say to you, I want you to write me in for governor. No, it's true. He is not running in the traditional sense. He has already said that he does not feel that God was leading him, not necessarily not leading him to run, but he and Rebbe had a bunch of unanswered prayers, right? This movement that Doug has given his blessing on, where we are going to write him in for governor, that very well may be what God is doing. And God is never late; He's always on time. And wouldn't that be something if they had been praying and praying all through the summer and fall, and they had put out those fundraisers, and they had they had me design the new Doug for Governor logo for this upcoming campaign, all that stuff, and the prayers were not being answered. And then in May, here we come writing him in for governor, and that's how God says, "Yep, I want you to just wait on me." So let me talk about a little bit about strategy. Okay, I've been running my mouth here for a long time, and I don't want this to be a really long video. But so I went on Ballotpedia, right? And it's so early yet. They only have a list of people so far who have declared candidacy, but they haven't compiled that into who's running in the primaries and whatnot. So you just see a mix of Democrats and Republicans at this point. But it looks like, Democrats are going to be out in force for the upcoming primary because they have a lot of challengers, whereas the Republicans don't seem to have a lot of challengers across the state. I mean, there are some that I saw. I didn't look through the entire list, but the big race, the governor race, Stacey Garrity, she's running unopposed, right? So here's what I'm trying to get at. Republican turnout for primary elections, especially in a non-presidential year, is abysmal, all right? There are 8.5 million registered voters in Pennsylvania. In 2022, it was a contested primary, and only 1.5 million 1.5 million people voted in the contested primary. Ernie probably has the correct figures there. That might be 1.5 million Republicans. I have a feeling that's 1.5 million in total, both parties. And Doug had several challengers in that race. It was a contested primary, as I said. So this time around, voters are going to be focused on November. They have their sights on November. They may completely blow off the primary. So the strategy is, if enough of Doug's people are jazzed about this write-in campaign and show up on May 19th, we could pull this off. So you think about Trump Force 47, Early Vote Action, TPUSA back in 2024, how their strategy was all about reaching the low propensity GOP. And our strategy will be similar. This is not about going and knocking on Democrat doors, of course, or calling friends who are in the Garrity campaign and they're trying to convince them to wrench them out of it. We don't want to do things like that. Go to people who love Doug and ask them to write him in. You can have conversations at church, at gun shops, over email, social media, of course. You can use Facebook and all that, and Truth Social. Go out for coffee, or when you go out to get your hair done, pedicures, whatever you all like to do. Time spent with friends and family. Just have some conversations and tell them about this campaign to write Doug in for the primary. And the primary is May 19th. Now remember, this is not about November. We're not trying to sabotage our efforts there in November. This is just for the primary, May 19th. This is very important. After the primary, we do need to get on board with the primary winner. Very, very important, okay? The ultimate goal is to take down Josh Shapiro, and I don't need to remind you about Josh Shapiro, though I will say a couple things. 2 Corinthians 11:14 says that Satan masquerades around as an angel of light. I don't think anybody thinks that Josh Shapiro is necessarily an angel of light, but he comes across as a nice guy when he wants to. But honestly, that man has a curse word in his campaign signage. You remember that he supports abortion up until birth, and he supports men playing in women's sports, and your daughters are not safe in schools anymore because boys want to come in there, and biological boys can come and creep in their locker rooms and stuff. And even back in 2022, when he had that amicus brief that he sent out to Loudoun, Virginia, and then a skirt-wearing male was later found in the girl's locker room, and he raped a 15-year-old girl. That was part of Doug's campaign back in 2022, and it's really disturbing stuff. So the ultimate goal is to take down Josh Shapiro, and so we need to, whatever this ends up being in May, we need to get behind whoever the primary winner is, even if that's Stacey Garrity, and we need to do that without question. Okay, but until May, let's mobilize. Let's get the word out to faithful Doug supporters, and let's try to get him written in the primary. Okay, so hope you all. This is nighttime for me. It's almost midnight actually. So hope you all have a good night. And look forward to talking to you again. Stay connected to the Facebook group and Truth Social group. There'll be other graphics, other handout material, things coming out that you guys can use and read. And let's do this. Let's roll, as Doug says.